The year was 1973, and the sexual revolution and women's movement were picking up steam when the tennis match between world champion Billie Jean King, Emma Stone, and ex-men's champion serial hustler Bobby Riggs, Steve Carell, not only took place but was heralded as the Battle of the Sexes. It became one of the more divisive sporting events of the time, with people lining up for either Team Billie Jean or Team Bobby, and it's reached a huge audience of 90 million viewers around the world. Someone who was definitely on Team Billie Jean was Ted Cumming, an actual World War II spy and former tennis player who segued into ladies' fashion and dressed the women on the Virginia Slims tennis circuit. He was someone able to give counsel to Billie Jean as a gay man who had been around the block a few times, Cumming says. He did so many incredible things. One time he was banned from Wimbledon because his outfits were deemed too racy. For King, the match was of utmost importance in her fight for equality for women, even as Riggs, who had a gambling problem, turned the event into an anti-women's lib spectacle as he flounced flashily around in costumes to put women in what he thought of as their place. At the press day for the film, Parade.com had the opportunity to speak with Cumming about Battle of the Sexes, Ted Tingling and his relationship to Billie Jean King, and more. What is it about the Battle of the Sexes that you think audiences will respond to in 2017? I think there will be a dual thing, realizing and discovering what an amazing woman Billie Jean is and how important she is to the fabric of our society. Winning this match really changed how women are perceived and definitely altered the root of women's rights in this country. Also, I think by looking back it allows us to see that we've come far, but we've still got a long way to go, because traits similar to Bobby's are being projected in our culture now. Since Trump came in, sexist, racist and homophobic views are being condoned by silence, so I think it's like, beware. It's interesting, sometimes you look to the past, and an analogy of your present can actually be more telling, more piercing. One of the themes of this movie is how important it is to be your authentic self. Can you comment on that? I do think it's for your own health and well-being. I think it's really important to try and live the life that, like Ted says in the film, the life you're meant to have. And I just think it's sad that there's still so many people who can't do that. We've got to have a culture where people feel safe and secure enough to do that. But that's really very much why I wanted to do this film, because that message was being put out. Is Ted still alive? Did you get to meet him? No. He's dead. What do you know about his relationship with Billie Jean King? I know that they had a very loving, warm relationship. He was very much this confessor and shoulder to cry on, and he guided her. I'd say he's like a fairy godfather. Billie Jean told me Ted really bolstered her confidence. As an actor, I know that you often have a very vulnerable and special relationship with wardrobe people, and I think Ted had that same sort of relationship with the ladies on the tour, and especially Billie Jean. And he's very beloved. We were at the US Open last week, and some of the journalists there were talking about him, and he was very, very loved. He's obviously an eccentric and a little dashing and campy. Is he really the man who brought color to tennis? I think he did. I love the fact that something as little as that is actually, when you think about it, a big deal. Tennis players didn't wear colors before. But also it's so ridiculous that they would have actually a couturier going around with them, rather than just wearing sports clothes. That's another indication of the sexism at the time. Girls had to look nice, and a man dressed them in costumes. It's crazy. Billie Jean did an interview on CBS Sunday Morning, and they asked her whether she's more proud of the work she did on the court or off the court. She said off the court, of course. Do you think that the movie deals enough with what she has done for women's rights? Yes, because you see her as this burgeoning activist. I think that telling the story shows what she's done, and, actually, it's the resonance of what happened then years later.